I actually prefer answering questions, but I'm happy to do a little monologue thing if you need to.
Let me just say this. Tell them about all that good stuff upstairs that you showed me last week. I'm not joking. It is epic. The investment that this man and this group has invested into for entrepreneurs. So,
well, first, welcome. Glad everybody came out. You're at the Jacob Center for Digital Innovation Celebration Hall. The Jacob Center has been doing work in Southeast San Diego. Okay, for decades. What we do now in terms of economic development is we have on the second floor right up there, we have a space for businesses to come in to work. We run a workshop. We actually run a podcast workshop upstairs right now. We got some other folks from a podcast workshop that we're doing up there as well. You'll see some other entrepreneurs who are in the space. And then the newest thing is a creator studio. So there's actually a space to do podcasting, do high-level video content, product boxes, all that good fun stuff. So if you are looking for something interesting and unique, literally go upstairs. I can see you all from those little windows right there. It's like peering in. There's a lot of people here. But yeah, so that's it.
Yeah. And tell them how much it costs.
Well, it's all grant money, so it wasn't out of my own pocket. So, but grant funding, we need grant funding. Do you actually want the actual price? Okay.
I guess the thing is that if people think that they want to market their business, they want to produce high quality photography, and they want to launch a podcast, you can do it for free here, because this is the place and space where entrepreneurs come to get it on, as I understand it. How it's You're like, no, not exactly like that.
I don't think I would freeze that way, but yes, like there is an opportunity for folks to come and actually be able to build and do some amazing things with their business, right? So make more money, all these different kinds of things. So I encourage you to connect with not only folks that are here, but take some time, come upstairs, and then you can see what we have available to folks to actually be able to build their businesses.
Last question: how many cohorts have you processed through the Innovation Center?
So our programs, we're in cohort number 8. I think there's some folks who were standing over there. There's a program, there's one right there, there's a program. So there's 12 people here who are in our programs. We've gone through 8 cohorts. It's a 4-month program, basically teaching people all different kinds of stuff about business. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you for opening your doors and hosting us tonight, Alex. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So up next is our new executive director, Miss Lisa Barnhouse, and she's going to go over just a few housekeeping items. I make her be the bad cop a little bit. I'm going to recess monitor. Welcome. Thanks everyone for coming out. The housekeeping items are already so amazing. We're asking people to not talk during the program. You're able to still get food, get a drink, but just keep it quiet, or else I'll have to tap you on the shoulder. At the end of the night, if you drop your badge into the blue bin at the door on your way out, we can recycle the badges. So that's my housekeeping stuff. The main reason why I'm up here is to thank everyone that makes this all happen. We can't do it without volunteers, without support. It's an amazing, amazing community of people that come together so we can network, meet each other, learn about resources. So first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to our board members. And raise your hand or stand up. Matt, I know you're in here. Come on, Matt. Yay, curling. Thank you, Curly. It's actually Curly's idea to have the event here tonight. Thank you, Curly. Yes, and Cheryl's board member. And our sponsors. So tonight, Aleph One. You can stand up, raise your hands. Aleph One, Logic Boost Labs, Arxis Nexus, Access Bank, USD The Brink, SDSU Zip Launchpad, Point Loma Nazarene University, UCSD Radio School of Business, Techstars, Economic Development Corporation, San Diego College of Continuing Education, Hera Hub, thank you, and Post-Ferry Law. And those are just the sponsors who actually sent people here tonight. We've got some others. We can't do it without the sponsorship and the partnership and the volunteers. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'd like to also point out that we have a volunteer program. Tonight we had a whole host of interns and volunteers. Volunteers, stand up, raise your hand. There was a flock of them. Thank you, thank you. On a hot, sweaty Monday afternoon, setting this up. We really appreciate it. Okay, without further ado, Cheryl. I would like to introduce longtime exec at Qualcomm, Sony, and Athena. She is now the founder of Findgood.tech.com. She single-handedly has taken on First Mondays as under her wing and has created some wonderful programming. Just want to thank you. And without further ado, all right, well, thank you.
Okay, so this sounds about 40 minutes long, and you're going to love it. And I love it because it's going to cover the spectrum, as it were, of AI innovation. We're talking very entry level to what's next and how we're solving the big problems. So I'm going to call our first panelist, and our first panelist is Miss Olivia Green. Come on out, Olivia. She has founded Black San Diego, which is a great resource for entrepreneurs, and innovators. She also is the founder of HerGrind Venture. Come on out, lovely lady. She also, I mean, I can go on, we can do 40 minutes with you, okay? But she also, what I love about what Olivia has done is she has set up community workshops on just with her heart to help folks, help communities do and solve problems, practical problems, automate, and it's amazing. So thank you, Olivia, for being part of it. Okay. Our next person up is Mr. Armando Santana, okay? He is, everybody knows Armando, right? And if you don't, you should. Armando is a former Qualcomm executive, former Walt Disney person. He also worked at Amazon, and he is now heading up a stealth venture. I'm hoping we can pressure him into talking about it. Doesn't look like we're breaking any news tonight, but his claim to fame and the reason why he's on this panel is A, he's amazing, but B, he also won the Hackathon recently, the SDX Hackathon. He's one of the winners. There were many, but he has a standout innovation, which I would love for him to unpack and talk about tonight because I think he did something pretty amazing. No surprise there. Okay, and our final panelist is Lohrli. He is the SDX founder. Come on out, Chad. You can trust him. There you go. All right, Chad. So Chad has done some amazing things. He just kicked off, what was it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, an amazing hackathon and over 100 innovators. And I'll have you talk more about the metrics and the specs. But the net is he's building an ecosystem of AI innovators. So he saw, he witnessed, and he really documented all of the things that were happening on the innovation spectrum of AI. So there you go, folks. This is our panel tonight, the spectrum of AI innovation. Okay, so why don't we start out with you, Ms. Olivia, and you guys just turn your mics on when you're ready to talk. And tell them a little bit about what I missed in describing you, because I'm sure I missed something amazing. But particularly interested in your founding of Black San Diego and where that venture is.
So I went to Black San Diego along with two childhood friends, and so we started Black San Diego because we wanted to have a place where small Black entrepreneurs, and small business owners could have a place where they can promote and scale their business there. And so we started it, we're having just a conversation. It grew to us thinking there would be 4 Black businesses, to 10, to 400, to now we have 50,000 members on a Facebook group that has over about 1,000 posts that run every day. Businesses have seen an increase between 20 and 30% in their businesses.
Here's a problem, let's solve it, okay? So amazing stuff there. So talk a bit about the community, the same opportunities on AI. Once ChatGPT reared its head in November of last year, you saw an opportunity to help folks. Tell us how you're helping folks and how they can get plugged into what you're doing to help them.
So there was a myth that we're not tech savvy, that we are not able to, in community, we had that it was a fear factor, that AI was this giant robot that was going to take over the world, and we were going to be eaten up by it. And so also that there's a myth of minorities, Black and brown people, that we're not tech savvy. And so when ChatGPT came around, I started HerGrind Ventures. I come here every Tuesday and Wednesday. You can find me here. I would sit here and have, as I worked here at the CoSpace, community members could come and talk to me about business free of charge. And so when I was hearing from them, they were like worried about this AI, ChatGPT, I don't know what this is about. And so I said, hey, let me test it. I started testing it out myself and started working on it, and I see how it just alleviated stress in my life. I was able to scale things in my own business. And so I partnered with another community platform called Buy Black San Diego, and we brought their community members to the Jacobs Center, and we started having meetups where I taught them the basics. What is AI? What is, how to use it, how to set it up. And so I took the practical use and showed them how to send emails out. How can you create pitch decks? How do you do a business plan? So we gave them the tools to say it's not scary. We can use it and we can leverage it because we don't have the funding or the resources. And so this is how we can add to our businesses by being able to.
Thank you, that's a great answer. It looks like perfect timing for that crappy microphone. All right, so we'll have to share for the rest of the night. Hey, we're not, not profit here. All right, so thank you, Olivia. So Armando, twofold question for you. You're a long-time executive. Some big titles behind your name. You're doing this stealth startup. Why did you do the hackathon? What did you build, and what problem did you solve for the world with AI and your innovation?
All right, so mic check here. Thanks for everybody for coming out. It's wonderful to see a great turnout. Just to give you a quick background about myself, I grew up here in San Diego. I grew up here in Chula Vista, and I'm a builder. I love to build. And so a couple weeks ago, I know Chad is going to talk a little bit about what he put together a couple weeks ago about doing a hackathon around AI. And so I'm a product manager. I haven't coded much, just a little bit, tinker here and there, but I'm very curious. I'm a super curious human, and I love to build. I'm a builder. And so when I saw Chad and his team kind of tell the world about this hackathon, I wanted to go build. And so in a matter of 2 days, I built kind of this idea around this AI coach. One of the trends that I've been noticing is that people tend to use ChatGPT as kind of a sounding board. I've noticed a couple of family members who've been using it who have noticed their family members becoming happier, more supported, and they have like this co-pilot for life in some ways. And so I got inspired to build something. And AI is such a wonderful kind of capability and a wonderful tool, so I challenged myself to kind of immerse myself in the tools and the APIs and stuff like that. And I built this AI coach that talks to you and gives you advice. As a business coach, as a life coach, and as a fitness coach. I had this wild idea, right? In 2 days, I was able to build this OpenAI powered tool that is a sounding board for interesting questions you have about life. And so I'm really excited I'm a builder. I love to network and network with people and share ideas. And so I'm really excited to network and talk with many of you because I'm a big supporter of what everybody is doing in the startup community. So just a little bit of a snapshot about that.
And I think it's really great that you didn't come from an engineering background, but I've seen you do some amazing things. We did work together on Labs. You were in Euphoria for a while there too, so you get some pretty good chops. But you were able to just pop in because of the setup that Chad had done, and also to Ryan Landers, and I know we had some sponsors of that event, Cash Adventures, and Qualcomm, like, this community came together to build this ecosystem to innovate. And you popped in and rose and shine, and it was amazing. So thanks, Armando, for sharing the story. Over to you, Chad. We're just going to jump right in. You know, you had, what was it, 100 entrants? Can you talk about the metrics of the event? And one more thing, the mission of the event. And maybe you might have to pass that mic, Armando. Looks like you, yeah. We are taking mic donations at the end of the night. Does anyone have any working microphones? No.
Test.
Oh, there you go. Amen. Can I get an amen? All right, let's go. Let's talk about that show, Chad.
So metrics, right? I think we had a total of like 180 RCPs. Out of those, we had 150 show up and 102 registered on dev posts. That's where we tracked the hackathon submissions. And then out of those 102, we had teams of 1 to 4. And we had a total of 24 teams submitting, 9 finalists, 3 winners who took home $28K plus of cash prizes.
Raise your hand if you were at the hackathon, because I see a lot of faces there.
Hey guys.
Okay, great. Yes, yeah, there were some amazing innovations. I was a judge as well, and so maybe can you talk about the top 3 winners and what your observations were?
Yeah, definitely. So I think, I wasn't personally a judge because I'd be kind of a conflict of interest, like hosting that, but we had a lot of judges that are here. So shout out to Andy, who's back there, one of the judges. I think the idea is to pick projects that had an impact, that were creative, and that used AI in their hacks, right? So they actually had to produce something, you had to write some code. You had to be creative with that, right? So if you're writing like a front end, it was usable, or if it was like a command line tool, like you had some proper documentation for it. And then because it was an AI hackathon, you had to use some sort of large language models. And then, so you use like ChatGPT API or Anthropic, those are all kind of sponsors that you have access to.
And the top winner, maybe talk a bit about the top winner. And I also noticed that we had someone from Combat AI who came in second place here tonight as well. So that's kind of exciting.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So first place, it was called Control Pre-trained Transformer. I'm not going to go too into the depths of it, but it was
sexy name that one. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't love Transformers. He says. He innovated on the transformer. Right? He added a trainable parameter to the transformer model, which in 2 days is pretty crazy to do, right? It's like a research level hack. He is a researcher at UCSC, which does help, but typically you see a lot of like application hacks at these hackathons, and not so much like research-based, actually innovating on core infrastructure. So it was really cool to see, and I think the judges appreciated that.
That's great. And I think as a judge, we did see a lot of features, a lot of things that I think would be possibly integrated, that you could envision possibly being acquired by a Microsoft or a Google as a feature. And we think about predictive typing and so forth, that we don't even think about that as being AI, but it certainly is. And so I saw a lot of great ideas there as well. Okay, so shifting really to a macro lens here is that the large part of the community, it really only knows AI, the consumer-facing AI, and they think it really is just not. They think that it really is just for marketing. I saw some pretty great innovations there that were well above marketing. What areas do you see that have the most promise for innovation in disciplines? Is it finance? Is it
Yeah, I think that's a tough one. I mean, there's always going to be like an LLM for X, right? But how defensible is that, right? Is it just a feature that OpenAI is going to eat up over time, or can you actually build like your moat around that? And I think when you think about moats, it's really like who's been collecting the most data over time, and how do you activate that data? So I think other than that, there's some really cool infrastructure plays and dev tool plays. LangChain raised $10 million. It's a really common dev tool in the space. We also have TinyGrad, which is George Hotz's second company. He's a president of Common AI, and they're working to build, acceleration for models, right? And eventually take out their own chips and build tiny boxes. So those are two areas that I kind of focus on.
So we know that it's gonna just be more than a bunch of spammy emails, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Nothing against the marketers, but the promise is quite significant. So Armando, if I could, I'm gonna shift back to you as a product manager. When you looked at your peers innovating, was there one in particular that you thought was pretty compelling?
You're talking from the hackathon?
Yeah, from the hackathon and maybe more
Oh.
generalized, those opportunities that are out there. Where do you think where it's ripe for innovation?
So I think part of it has to do with what unique data do you have as a business, right? So it's about data. So even tying it back to the hackathon, there was one winner too, I think it was Anchor AI, right? Anchor AI, which the problem is that, ChatGPT has hallucinations, right? So some of the data may not be as accurate, so you have to be careful. And so the problem they were trying to work on is, can you anchor it with data that's out there to make it more accurate? So you're anchoring it with known knowledge, and think of it as like a combination of search with LLMs, right? So I think where there's a lot of opportunities, you should be asking yourself, what kind of unique data do you have that's unique? Because that's now gold, right? And how are you going to use that with these tools that are out there? Certainly, you got to be careful on what you share out with the world. But there is an opportunity, especially with some of these open source LLMs, there's actually an opportunity as things evolve where these tools are going to be more accessible to more businesses, where you're bringing your data, you're bringing your knowledge and your wisdom because you know your business best, and then using these tools to either automate things or just be more creative or more strategic in how you're running your business. So, certainly where I think where it's going to evolve is it's really about the data and the combination of the tools and then the human wisdom and knowledge that people have. Because if you think about LLMs, they've been trained with public data. They haven't been trained with each of your guys' experiences and wisdom. That's what I find really fascinating. This is a space that I'm thinking a lot lately about. How do you combine all this wonderful AI technology, but how do you merge it with the human experience and the human knowledge that also exists? So I think that's what keeps me up at night every day. Like, where's the opportunity in that space? And so each of you who run businesses, I think you should be asking yourself, like, what kind of data, unique knowledge do you have? And can I use tools to, become this superhuman to run my business or amplify my idea or, innovate faster? So that's where I think there's a lot of opportunity. There's tons of tools that are out there, and I use it every day. I mean, there's a lot of unique use cases I can share with you guys that has certainly saved me time, but it's not the only tool. It's just one tool of many. And I encourage you guys to really explore. There's a lot of wonderful tools out there, and some work better than others. But stay curious. I think there's a huge opportunity out there.
Right.
It's amazing.
It really is amazing. I think back to the Apple economy, and if we go even further back as they got Plus and all the startups that were out there. But the Apple economy, those tools were not democratized. Neither was web tools weren't democratized. You had to learn HTML. So we know that these tools are going to get better. We know that they're going to get easier. The big question is when. I hear a lot about no code. I hear low code, and even recently trying to build and integrate an AI tool for myself. It's not, it's not ready for everyone. So I guess I'd ask the panel in general, what are your thoughts about the proximity of no code, the need of no code? Just talk in general about how important that is so everyone can access and automate their lives. And I suppose that's a million-dollar
I
question.
wish I was in high school, to tell the truth, because the tools are absolutely amazing. I have not coded much lately, but when I went to the hackathon and I used one of the tools there was a workshop there, I quickly learned about this co-pilot, essentially. They can write code for you, can explain code, and the ability for you to learn things is accelerating. I do truly believe that in the future, even near future, you'll be able to use these tools to learn about things faster than ever. Like your knowledge will exponentially increase. Like literally, you can go to ChatGPT and ask it to behave like a lawyer, right? And then it certainly says don't take this as legal advice, but you can learn really quickly. from 0 to 1 to learn the basics is so fast. So I think that gives you the ability to be a builder and like learn some things really fast. But then these tools allow you to prototype things really quickly. Like you can create things super fast, super cheap, and put it in front of people and fall in love with the problem space that you're dealing with. Don't get too married with your idea. Like some people love their idea, they're trying to pitch their idea, but you gotta fall in love with the problem and then really use these no-code, low-code solutions as like you want to build something to put it in front of people and then iterate or share with others, and then like it just kind of blossoms from there. So I think the tools are just absolutely amazing that are coming out. And there's more coming.
Yeah, that innovation in the pace, they seem that they're really rapid. I mean, when we look back from late last year, that they're already evolving at a breakneck pace. So I think it's a function of time. And I really love what you said about being curious, right? And falling in love with being curious. I think that's the success formula for everybody, AI or caveman. It doesn't matter. You gotta be a learner. You gotta lean into this. You gotta unpack it and want to solve problems and get smarter and exponentially have greater output, right? And why do we do that? So we can have more time. So any other comments on no code, low code, Olivia or Janet?
Just a quick thing I'll say about like no code and low code tools. They do like reduce like the barrier to entry, but you eventually get to a point where you need more customizability, right? And this is true like if you've ever built like a site with Bubble or something like that, right? Get to a point in Squarespace where you're like, okay, I need to inject like HTML, right? And you can extrapolate like how that's similar for other tools. But I think with like generative AI and LLMs, like you can generate actually that customizability a lot faster, right? So you're still gonna have that point in time where you're like, I need more than what the no-code, low-code tool can offer. But at least I have this new medium, right, explorability, where I can generate new features on the fly. I will say though, like, because I get this question a lot, like, should you learn how to still code, right? Or can you just leverage AI? And I think you absolutely should, because you need to still build an intuition, right? Like, knowledge workers are still really important. It's the context that you bring to these large language models that allow you to level up faster. But if you don't know what questions to even ask or to fact check, right, for hallucinations, like you're still going to be stuck in like the beginning of that Dunning-Kruger curve in learning. So still super important.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Olivia, I want to hear from you next, but just a brief check-in administratively. We're going to go for about 10 more minutes, and then we're going to have about 10 minutes for questions. So think of your questions for those panelists. Olivia, any thoughts on no code and how that can help you run your workshops better?
I think it's the ability to be bold, and it gives you the freedom to take that anxiety and the anxious away. I've seen, we just talked about it before, you understand how to prompt, you understand how to leverage it, it can really help you with your productivity. And so it's a tool. And so I think that's where we can't use it, but it's not to take over, it's also to assist you. And so I think that's the beauty of it. It's that extra arm with you.
Yeah, and I want to be an octopus in this race, so that's cool, like lots of arms, like you want to get a lot done. I've heard that the average company, it takes 10 people to get to an IPO, but today with AI, you could literally do it with 1 to 3 people. So we know that this is about economic output and doing more with less, but then also doing it in a way that I think is where there is more good. So I do have concerns about this huge amount of spam and marketing material taking over the world. So really looking for what are the big problems that we are trying to solve? What do you think are the most important areas we should be focusing on? Any panelists, please jump in.
Well, I think that the data that we're providing into the AI, and so we're teaching, we're learning, we're providing the information. And so with our information from minority communities to provide that data so that it is diversified. And so I think that that's a big thing that I am watching and want to be a part of to make sure that we are included in that, because it would be a game changer, and it'll even out the playing field.
Yeah, because if the tool is like misinformed, I'm not sure of the overall utility. Armando, looks like you wanted to jump in there.
I wish I could, but it would reveal what we're working on.
I was trying to get to that. there, Armando?
Yeah, that was going to be my answer, but I think accessibility. I think we owe it to ourselves to make sure that technology is accessible to as many people as possible, and making it relevant for them to help themselves. I think it could be the great equalizer, quite honestly. Because imagine like any kid who's deeply curious could learn about anything really fast. And like it's just going to accelerate their ability to learn and grow, and so I think I think one of the most important things I think for me is making it accessible to people, and so that's the first thought that comes to mind. But I have other answer which I'll share at a much later date.
Yeah, yes, and we will invite you back once you are ready to chat about the study stuff starting. All right, so we're gonna shift gears. Oh yeah, please do, please, go ahead.
I'll briefly just talk about like the alignment issue, right? Because I think it's a big one. And so the way that like, I kind of think of it, and some people that I like talked about it, is it's not so much like you should be scared about the alignment to machines. You should be scared about the alignment to other humans, right? And you look at OpenAI's approach, right? And they're not really open, right? They haven't released their ways. They're the ones in charge of the reinforcement learning for these models. And so I think the answer here is just open source it all, right? And yes, some people will get their hands on these powerful models, but a lot more good people will get their hands on these models. And what you really care about is the alignment between other humans. We all have our biases. We all think differently. It's really hard to coordinate. I don't know if you guys follow like crypto or anything or Web3, but decentralized autonomous organizations don't work because it's really difficult to coordinate with people. So
It's like a housing association, right? Like, do housing associations work?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Really
No,
small scale.
raise your hand if you hate your housing association, right? And so that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Right, I love that. Okay, so a couple of questions. I'm going to pack these together. What are your predictions for the future? If we look back to forecast what's going to come, we know that again these tools are going to get easier. Who are your favorite players? Who are you putting your money on? And that could be entrenched companies or maybe lesser known companies that are working in AI right now. Anyone jump in? And then audience, while they think about that, if you have a question, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you come up to the stage on the side here because we're having a mic issue and I don't want to exacerbate it.
So I'll take the question around like some of the tools and players out there that I'm currently a fan of. There's two that come to mind. One is Perplexity AI, which is really kind of a combination of LLMs and search. It's a tool that I use a lot for doing research because it's grounded on data. And so it's a fantastic tool. I've been using it quite a lot recently. So Perplexity is one of the tools. And the other one that I really enjoy that has just the experience is really polished is HeyPi. HeyPi.com, if you go there, it's fantastic. It is like your AI assistant of some sort, and two very beautiful products that I highly encourage you guys to check out. I think they're going to be around for a little while. They've done it well. They're building their own LLM, stack, and they're getting the experience right, which I'm really a fan of. But your second part of your question around like the future, here's a little bit of how I think about the future. What might happen is that there's going to be these very smart assistants that are going to be available for you to kind of do work and jobs for you. So I envision a future where you have agents that are doing work on your behalf. And so imagine a future where you have an agent that's optimizing your schedule, an agent that's doing the shopping for groceries. There's an agent that's doing this and that. And agents are talking to each other and doing negotiations. So then you're focused on it's all about automation in some ways. Like there's things and tasks in your life that are primed for automation. Many of these startups are looking for ways to play in this space. So there's going to be automation that happens. And then you're going to be able to focus on other more important things in your life, like spending quality time with your kids or working on that next big thing. And so like the way I see it, there's like going to be automation. And so then it's going to open you to do other more creative endeavors. for those
So
who do
my
want to.
bot and your bot are gonna be meeting, and
Yes.
then they'll give us a recap.
Well, imagine like, hey, I want to meet with Cheryl in the next 2 weeks, like make it happen, and then your agent, my agent talk, and they make it happen, and then.
My bot's gonna be pretty sassy, I'm just saying.
This is gonna be a difficult agent.
Not everybody gets creative.
I think there's gonna be something like that potentially, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, but that's one vision of the future that I think.
I love it.
that-
Yeah, I think companies that I kind of look up to here. One is in San Diego, Common AI, just gonna shout them out. They're here in San Diego, and they really are solving self-driving, and they're doing it open source, and that's huge. I think they need a lot more press, just to showcase what they're actually doing here. And if you guys don't know, they built a self-driving kit called Comma. They just released 3X at Comic-Con. This isn't an app, by the way. I actually really love this company. It sounds like one.
Pretty great.
But you can plug it into, they support 250 different vehicles, and you can plug it into your CAN bus essentially, and it drives the car for you, right? And this is $2,500. It competes with Tesla. That's wild, right? And the models are all open source. You can link them, you can fork them, you can build your own versions for your own cars if they don't support it. Awesome company, check them out. They're in San Diego. In terms of the future, I'm kind of scared about the agent to agent, because I feel like it's just going to be like, this content generator trying to sell you something, and this spam filter trying to block it, right? And it's just like, the internet's just going to be like AI, AI is playing zero-sum games with each other, trying to exploit one another. But maybe that's just pessimistic.
I think you're onto something. All right, we'll pass that mic down to Olivia. And then AV team, if we can get a mic ready for our Q&A, and then folks, just want to calibrate expectations, we may not get to everybody, so when you ask, make sure you ask with quickness. Okay, Olivia.
So something that I'm excited about is called Just Text, and so they're Justice startup that works to regularize the legal system, and so they've been doing great work, and so I've been following them. And one thing I'm worried about is everything's gonna look the same, such as marketers, because now everything looks the same, everyone's using ChatGPT, you can see that, and so I think that we're losing that type of flair and innovation.
Yeah, that uniqueness, I think that's a really good point. If everything's homogenized, it's like that's really not, that's never a good thing. It's like even your gut biome needs to be diverse. We don't want all the coffee in the world to be that diverse, just to make it gross, of course. All right, so let's get ready for our questions there. Again, just give the check in, because I know you guys really want to talk and chat and high five. So we're gonna allot 10 minutes for this Q&A. First person, please state your name and ask your question.
Yeah, my name is Chris. I think Cheryl, I believe, right? Somebody asked about like the unique data that we get from communities that might be disenfranchised and how it would be used. Can you give an example of what that data is? Like what an example of that data might be and how that
Well, I'll
would
give
be
you a
used?
perfect example. So on Zoom today, they changed, maybe it wasn't today, but just recently, they changed their user terms to where they're now have full access to any Zoom. So if you're a therapist or a lawyer or whatever, you have sensitive information, you're using Zoom, and they're changing that. These are the types of things that I think, if I'm answering you correctly.
I'm actually talking about like maybe in the space of like people of color or people who've been largely disenfranchised outside of the space. Is there unique data from those people that can be used?
Oh, you're talking to Olivia.
Yeah.
Not Cheryl.
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry,
okay,
Olivia, I'm sorry.
That's okay, hey, I'll be Olivia all day long.
So I'm referencing home loans, right? Also, face recognition. You can also see Canva. Canva has the AI tool to test the image. If you look at the images that Canva uses, they don't have the features in minorities, and so those are the things that are happening.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's been highly documented with all the sensors sensing. Everything was trained in the early days anyway, in 2017, on a bunch of white faces. So sensors and syncs didn't work. There's all these things, and even back in the day with voicemail, you know, when a voicemail was invented, it was invented by a bunch of guys, and if your woman left a voicemail, it did not record the message. So that diversity isn't like, hey, just include me because I want to be included. It is for the benefit of the service and the benefit of the business. You've widened your market, right? So, but great question. Thank you for asking that. Next person, please.
Hi, my name is Cheryl. I'm the software engineering manager at a government contractor. And I just wanted to touch on the alignment topic a little bit more. And I wasn't really satisfied with the answer because you come, I think you approached it from the perspective of a very like human dominant world, which is the world we have been used to living on. Like when you're teaching a dog, domesticating it, you are coming from a place of higher intelligence, and that's why you can rely on it not to like bite your baby's head off or something like that. But when we're entering this new age where the AI is potentially more intelligent than the human being, and I think we see the inevitability of that.
So let's get your question.
How do we solve the problem of alignment, and can we do that without slowing the accessibility to the public?
I think like to your first point, like okay, there you go. You have to bootstrap these machines, right? Like if you look at just any of these large language models, they work based on, or they just compress a ton of human information, right, that we put out there in the world. And so, the answers that you get from a foundation model are just going to be like reiteration of that. And then, ChatGPT and the instruct-based models will fine-tune and use RLHF, which is based on just human feedback, like thumbs up, thumbs down, right? Like essentially tuning it to be more constructive or respond to like certain prompts. And so the question is, that's to your point, that's how it's currently being run, right? And I guess to get your question, you're saying that potentially at some point there won't be a bootstrapping phase, right? And at that point, I'm not quite sure what we're going to.
Great, thanks, Jack. Let's get to our next question.
Happy to jam it out there.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why we have the networking, right? So all of these questions can be answered in a public forum, but back there with some drinks. So you make your question, please.
Yeah, my name is Rose Bolas, and I'm with Rose Bolas Law, APC. I have a lot of clients who are in the AI space, and one burning question that I've had for a very long time is, are you seeing any place anywhere where companies, when they're training their models, are considering self-reporting for potential legal violations, or if the models understand that something that's being uploaded or provided to the company could be possibly an IP violation or something like that? I'd like to know what you've seen, and do you see that being part of a go-between between being private and not being regulated to, having regulations around that?
Lots of fun on that one.
I don't have a good answer, but I know that companies are being very careful on what they feed these, ChatGPT or these models. So they're trying to be very careful not to disclose too much information for, they are inventing, right? You are building stuff. So it's something you do have to be careful of. I wonder, I don't have any idea what OpenAI's policies are. Now they claim that they're not like using that data to train anything, or it's very much treated as private data exchange between the two. But some of that you just never know how they're using that information on their end. But I think part of AI too is that there's going to need to be some like for us, I'm working at a tech startup where we are using AI, and we've actually built some principles and policies of how we want to operate as a company. And I would expect any company that's working on AI that they have some ground rules of how they're operating, because you want to operate with a good philosophy that scales and builds trust. So like one of our principles is about building a product that has trust as its core. So I'm hopeful that anybody that's building these type of technologies has a trust component, and they're not being bad actors in the data that they're using and the products that they're creating. And who knows, maybe part of those policies will have some self-reporting mechanisms in place, so that there's something that happens, like there's a safety team that like jumps on it.
Armando, I'll jump in there too. It's like, I don't know if you remember Never Nassim, who started Credo AI. There's a tremendous amount of innovation on the ethics side right now too. And I think there's that balance, and this is where we're gonna start to see that shift. So, I mean, great answer, Armando, but certainly a difficult question, and it's a bit of a wait and see. So we really only have time for 2 more questions unless you are a speed announcer on the radio. So let's get to your questions. Happy to hear, what's your name? What can we help you?
Absolutely. Nice to meet everybody. My name is Ramel Wallace. I have a quick question, and I think Armando would be best to answer this question. The controversy with African content moderators, I've seen that get a lot of coverage, but I haven't seen the hesitation from AI founders or AI funding. What do you think of companies like Sama that are influencing that? And how do we avoid that content moderation issue in AI?
Man, you guys have good questions today. You know what? The first response that comes to mind is going back to like operating with good principles at a company, is that having good diversity and good representation to operate with a deep sense of empathy for your people and your users. So it really stems from the leadership team and the makeup of the decision makers at these companies that are building these kind of technologies. And so it really starts with that strong foundation, because you're really building products for everybody, right? And so if there's things like that are kind of happening out in the world that, you know, that are just not good for anybody, there should be some form of like balance. And so I'm big on diversity. I mean, I'm a Mexican American, and I went through, you know, wonderful experiences at all these companies, and I've always been well received from a diversity perspective. And so I really celebrate diversity. And so I think my answer is like, it's about diversity and having that representation, because you're building products for other people. And so I always look for that. Like when we build teams, I always look for a good amount of diversity. And so that's the first answer that kind of comes to mind. Hopefully that can help with any of those kinds of situations. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a great answer. It's a good answer. Final question, and but you know, we're all going to be here to talk and chat later.
Hi, I'm Bobby Edelman, investor. In a world where we're kind of always searching for the source of truth, there's not just hallucinations, but this unpredictable drift. And if any of you read the research from Stanford and Berkeley, it's pretty dramatic, meaning that the results we get today, it's mathematically going to be quite different in 3 weeks from now. So my question for the panelists, how do we address that sort of dual question, which is the source of truth, and are there solutions in terms of this unpredictable drift, since we don't know what's happening in the black box? Thank you.
I think that is absolutely the most important question, with arguably a very difficult answer. I mean, I think we've been struggling with the source of truth since the early days of journalism, and maybe before that was tablets and chisels, right? So I'll hand it over to my panelists to see if there's an insight there.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at this one. I think benchmarking these models is really important, right? We've seen a lot about GPT-4 time degrading and sort of its answers, and this also boils down to kind of how these models work internally, right? They're not, even if it's degraded from 0, you're still going to get like some variance in your answers, and that's because a bunch of things happening inside. It's still a research topic. There was something that was on Hacker News recently talking about MOD specifically resulting in sort of like the variance that you're seeing in these models. So it's still kind of an unsolved problem, and there's people taking stabs at trying to find solutions to this. In terms of grounded truth, right? You can back models and knowledge graphs. You can look at sort of what Google is doing, some really interesting work in search by referencing sort of where it's getting its data from. So the better insight you have into these models, understanding like which neurons are triggering, what output, are ways that I'm getting closer to understanding this. But again, what is truth, right? Like, there's how many edges are pointing to one node, right?
That's great. Hey, let's give it up for our panelists. They took some hard questions tonight. We are out of time. We start on time and we end on time. You are more than welcome to get a drink. And let's get those questions, okay? All right, thanks everybody. Let's wrap it up.
Can you get the mic from Olivia? Yeah. I'll give it to Ryan. Thank you.